Wow. It has been an interesting week, Owen. It's been an interesting week. I think we need to timestamp this. So normally I don't timestamp these, but I think that's important. So today, as we're recording this, it's Friday, April 4th, 2026. And so just a few days ago, we had the state of the mortgage industry address
Hmm.
that you and I held. We broke Zoom, by the way. We broke Zoom.
We
So
did.
Zoom only allows 1,000 people, and we had that like in the first like 2 minutes. And we were getting these texts, "Hey, how do I get in?" You probably ought to show up a little earlier next time, you know. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, it was fantastic information.
Hmm.
And if you want to go listen to the recording of that, if you go to see what is it, stateofthemortgageindustry.com, stateofthemortgageindustry.com, you can hear a full recording of it and watch it, and it's free. You can have that. And we'll leave that up for probably about I don't know how long, not too long because it'll get dated again. And
Hmm.
Owen and I always want to keep you fresh information. So go check that out as soon as this is over with. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about here is the tariffs. I mean, and how does that
Yeah.
affect us in the mortgage business? And
Well, it's almost, you date stamped it. I almost want to time stamp it. It's about 9:30 in the
Mm.
morning because who knows what's going to happen by lunch, right?
that that
Okay.
on all kidding aside, that's actually a great point.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
that is.
it's Carl, a lot of times we've been talking on the Loan Officer Breakfast Club. You're gracious enough to have me on almost every Thursday. And we've talked about certain things over the course of the last 18 months. And one of those things is the market no longer moves on fundamentals. The market moves on what the perception of what the fundamentals might be 6 months from today.
Yeah.
And that's certainly what we're seeing with the tariffs. Just to back up, earlier in the week, we had the Trump administration announce whatever you want to call it, retaliatory tariffs, Liberation Day, all this kind of news making headline stuff. But basically, through some algebraic equation, came up with a myriad of tariffs to place on countries that put tariffs on us.
Yeah.
Um, on the thought process that all these foreign countries, really since ever since World War II, have grown their economy, um, because of the U.S. consumer, and that with us being 30 some trillion dollars in debt, that's something we can no longer do. We have to do a little bit of taking care of our own. So, regardless of where you feel about it from a business sense or a political sense, it is really having an effect on the market. And, we see, you know, for years and years and years and years and years, we were told that tariffs are inflationary. And a lot of people still believe that tariffs are inflationary. But when you get to that point of the market moving on what they think the fundamentals might be 6 months from now, the tariff trade jumps over the inflation and goes right to the recession that the inflation causes. And, home mortgages, the housing industry usually does pretty well in a recession. So this tariff trade is temporarily great for the mortgage business. I don't know how long it'll last, but it's been pretty gosh darn good for interest rates over the past 10 days or so.
Yeah. So give us um, give us a little bit of so kind of walk us through a little bit about
Mhm.
how does the tariff affect us as loan officers?
Well, what's happening is this. When you talk about the trades, and look, I've been watching the economy and the bond market for the 23 years that I've been in the mortgage industry. So I have some experience, but I'm not a trained economist. I don't claim to be Barry Habib or one of these guys who zones in on it down to the basis point. But I will say this. Um, the tariffs, in theory, are inflationary, right? If you buy an iPhone that was manufactured in China and they place a 40% tariff on goods coming in from China, in theory, your iPhone goes up 40%,
Yeah.
right? That's inflationary. Um, Usually it doesn't come even close to what the tariff is because every person down the line in the manufacturing process eats a little bit of this because we all know Apple's got an incredible profit margin
Yeah.
on
Mhm.
iPhones, right? But in theory, it's inflationary. That disregards the possibility that somebody will buy a comparable American good, which in the case of automobiles or lumber or dairy or food or whatever, maybe not iPhones, we don't manufacture iPhones here, but there are comparable
Yet.
American
Yet.
goods.
Yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I guess that's part of the idea behind it, you
Right.
know, because from the untrained eye, and again, this is not a political show, right? This is
Correct.
a loan officer show, right?
Yep.
And so let me give you my aspect of it from an untrained eye, and then
Please. Yeah.
you show me where I'm off. Because there's no question you know more about this stuff than I do, right? And you can be humble and, oh, I don't know about that car, but we both know by far you
Oh,
do, right? So
and
I know marketing, but this is you know this stuff. So so it seems like best case scenario, this is a negotiation tool where these countries have been charging us tariffs since WW2,
that's right.
right?
That's right.
And all Trump is doing and saying, "Hey, you charge us 30%, well, we're going to charge you 20%." And the
Hmm.
idea is the best case scenario is they back down on tariffs that they're charging for our products coming out of their country. And then Trump says, "Okay, well, we'll back down on the tariff. We just want a level playing field, right?" That's what he's saying. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it, but that's what he's saying. So best
Correct.
case scenario, everybody comes back down to and
Zero.
zero would be the ultimate, or 10% each person, 10%, something like that.
Right.
What I see as worst case scenario is I go out to go buy an iPhone, like you said, and instead of paying $1,500, I'm gonna have to pay $2,100
Hmm.
starting tomorrow, right?
That's right.
Or the way I understand it, they'd work through the inventory they got in the store, and new inventory coming in is
Correct.
it'd be $2,100. So so worst case scenario is they keep tariffing our products to their people, so we don't sell that much lumber to China, for
Correct.
instance.
Hmm.
And then when I do want to buy an iPhone, or I do want to buy a Toyota or a Mercedes
Hmm.
or Rolls or whatever that car is, or a Chevrolet that's made in Mexico, right?
That happens.
Yeah, that the average cost, I saw a number the other day. The average cost is going to be, they're projecting about a $7,000 increase in cost of American cars, because a lot of the axles from American cars are made in Mexico.
That's
And
right.
yeah, but I understand the other side of it is that, like during COVID, I saw something I wasn't aware of, and maybe I'm the only one, and maybe a lot of people didn't know this. Like the vast majority of our medications aren't made here. And
Correct.
and suddenly somebody said, "Hey, I need my insulin." Well, yeah, that's coming out of China, right? A
Hmm.
wonderful country, beautiful place, right? Wonderful people, but in charge of our medication. That if their government was to say, "Hey, no more exporting of medicines because we need it here in China," we don't have any. Like it's not there. Or we saw. I went up. Where was this at? I think it was up in Tennessee, if I remember right. And I saw it was a toy. I think I got this right, but it was something like this. We went to a Toyota factory in Tennessee, and
Hmm.
Owen, I've never seen so many cars in a parking lot in my life. It seemed like miles of a parking lot, like
Yep.
literally,
Yep.
of cars that were all completed except the chips,
Yeah.
because these chips come 100% out of Taiwan, not some, not almost all
Yeah.
came out of Taiwan. And so they had these tens of thousands. Heck, oh, and it might have been. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It might
You
have been
couldn't you
hundreds.
couldn't get chips during COVID, and
Yeah,
then
and
you
so there was you couldn't get a car
yeah,
at any price because of the chips.
yep,
And so we were a slave to, or wrong word, but we were held captive, or at the whim
to,
of these foreign governments of,
to how other countries apportioned their goods. Yeah,
yeah. And
yep.
and that was very scary. And so I get the pros and cons of it, and I'm a little pro and I'm a little con. Like that's kind of where I fall on all of this.
Yeah.
Hey there. Hey, if you're loving the tips so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and then tap the little bell so that you never miss out on more free, cool tips coming your way. Also, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment beneath there. Let me know what you think or tell me what you'd like to hear next. But so if, let's say, and I think most would say that at some level, for some period of time, this is going to be inflationary. What does that mean to me as a loan officer?
Well, yes, I agree with that. Tariffs are often inflationary, but the market is skipping right past inflation and going to the recession that the
Mm,
inflation would cause.
mm,
So that's why you're seeing good news in the interest rate market,
mm,
right? There's some meaningful portion of economists are talking about stagflation, which is, of course, high inflation, high unemployment, and no growth and no way to get out of it. That's what we saw in the late 70s. Um, but most of the market is going right past inflation, straight to the recession trade. There's now in the what's called the CME market where people bet on Fed cuts. They're pricing in a 99% chance that the Federal Reserve is going to cut interest rates in June. I, if I were making a trade, I'd be part of the 1% that says Jerome Powell's going to wait a little longer. Um, and so, but the fact is for loan officers, it's game on right now. We are seeing some of the best rates since we've seen, during that 2 to 3 week period of late July, early September, before the so-called red wave trade came in to drive interest rates up. And that was almost a political trade because the perception of the market was that Republicans were going to run higher deficits, so that would be inflationary. Um, but we are seeing in real time, literally in real time, the market betting on the perception of what the fundamentals will be 6 weeks from today. If there's some kind of big trade deals with China, with Canada, with a couple of the bigger European countries, you could see this trade unwind in 2 weeks.
yeah.
So, as we always talk about as loan officers, you got to continue to prospect those that have been continuously prospecting, those in your Call Stars group, in your Alliance group. Those people are going to disproportionately benefit. And you got to go out and prospect now. Do not assume that what we're seeing on your rate sheet today is going to stick around for a month or 3 months or 3 years. God, I hope and pray that it does, right? I've been in this industry too. You and I have talked often. We're in it every single day, up to my elbows in 2022, 2023, 2024. Difficult years. I want to see it break out just as much as the next person, but don't count on it. Because when you trade on perception, which is where it goes today, the perception can change. And when it does, the rates and the markets will change and they will take away as fast as they have given.
So this is again on the state of the mortgage industry address that we did. You talked about these mini waves. Like
That's
it's not
right.
going to be a wave of loans. It's going to be these little mini waves where there's 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 1 week
Yep.
periods where rates take a dip, and we have to be poised to take action now. So what I'm hearing you say really is that, if I can kind of simplify it from my own mind, is that possibly likely there will be some inflation seen with this. And if that's so, it's likely we'll see some level of a recession, perhaps. But it sounds like, I think back when COVID happened, as disastrous that was for the country, gosh, for our industry, it was
It
real.
was wonderful.
I felt guilty because I had friends of mine that owned barbershops and very dear
Restaurants.
friends,
Yeah,
restaurants, and they were just barely and good people, good business people, provide great service. They were shut down. They couldn't. I
yeah,
don't care how good their hamburgers were or how good their haircuts were. They weren't allowed to do anything. People were afraid of dying. Like literally, we know now that
that's right.
maybe wasn't the case, but it was a fantastic time for us economically in the mortgage business. So what I'm kind of hearing you say is where the rest of the country might be a little up in air about this, frankly, the bad news kind of sort of can be our good news at some level.
Yeah, and again, this is all about the perception, right? Again, not a trained economist, not a, every single day bond market watcher. But I'm not 100% certain we're going to get the inflation. Oil is down to $61 a barrel. It's come screaming down. As we all know, that affects everything, right?
Yeah.
Because so many goods get on a truck, get on an airplane, have to be
Yeah.
transported someplace. So I don't know what all that effect is, but I do know this. On the state of the mortgage industry, we talked about a series of sprints, right? Uh, Dr. Michael Frantantoni, the chief economist of the MBA, he's a PhD. Doug Duncan at Fannie Mae, even the gentleman who's the editor of Housing Wire, all their predictions for 2025 were within a range,
Yeah.
right? And they talked about peaks and troughs or peaks and valleys, right? We're in a valley right now. We're not at a peak. And you're going to have several peaks and valleys throughout the year. And we don't know how long they're going to last. I don't know if this trade and these rates are going to last 2 weeks, 2 days, or 6 months, right? I honestly don't know. But what I do know is it's going to be sprints. So if you want to, stick with the track and field correlation, you're going to do a series of 100-yard sprints. You always have to have your feet in the starting block because you never know when it's going to start, and
Mm.
you got to start running. And you're not always going to have time to take your tracksuit off, put your shoes on, tape your left ankle, before you get going. And so prospect, prospect, prospect. And when that starter's gun goes off, like it's going off right now, you are going to disproportionately benefit. And that's what we all need to be doing.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Hey, can I brag on somebody here for a minute?
Absolutely.
Dude, did you see what Sarah Cox did? Was it last month or this month?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, last month, we're in the first few days of April. So
yeah.
last month. Yeah.
So I think it was, yeah. So it was scheduled for last month. I think she ended up with this top of my head. I was talking with her yesterday. I think it was like 18 units
Yeah.
or something. So just crazy. So again, in
Multiple,
her case,
multiple $1 million, 18
yeah.
units.
Yeah, and 3 years ago, this lady wasn't closing any loans because she was a supervisor, and I'm bad with time, but I think it was about 3 years ago, somewhere around there. That
Two, I think. Yeah.
2 years ago, yeah, she wasn't even closing loans. Like she was in the mortgage business, but she was a supervisor role, not a loan
Operations.
officer,
Yeah.
and she put
I,
on,
I was lucky enough to spend some time with her in mid March.
yeah,
It's St. Patrick's Day, as a matter of
yeah,
fact. Uh, Sarah is not Irish, but she has an Irish last name and an Irish husband, so we're very kin to one another on that score. And she said, I almost feel guilty because I'm doing so well, but I'm just doing my job. I get on and I prospect every single day, and I'm amazed at what it returns.
yeah,
So
and that
that's
was my
that's the
point on
perfect
bringing her.
example. And I don't know for sure, but if I were looking in a crystal ball or, my little black 8 ball that I would shake up that I had when I was 7 years old, I think somebody like that who's consistently doing the prospecting is going to disproportionately win. So if you're not doing it, put your track shoes on, get in the gosh dang starting blocks as fast as possible, and get going because we're going to have this wave. It might last 2 weeks, it might last 3 months, If it goes away in 10 days, we'll have another one. I don't know if it's going to be in July or August or October or May. I have no idea. And anybody says that they exactly know, I think it's lying, to be
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
honest. But you got to be ready. We can
Hmm.
win this year. This should be a fun year. Got
Yeah,
to get, as my old Polish grandmother used to say, apply a little elbow grease. Um, that was her synonym for hard work. But
yeah,
we have an opportunity to win, unlike we've had probably in 4 years. And that's
yeah.
very exciting to me.
Great stuff. Hey, if you
Yep.
want to hear more about Owen and I talking about this kind of thing, make sure you go to stateofthemortgageindustry.com, stateofthemortgageindustry.com, and we'll send you a copy of the recording. It's free. And just you just tell us where to send it. Hey, and we'll send it two ways to make sure you get it. We'll email it. Sometimes that ends up in bulk folders. The other thing we can do is we can text you a link where
Hmm.
you can watch it on your phone too. And so we'll both email it to you and we'll text it to you. And we weren't not that not Owen and I obviously have things that we sell per se, but this was not a sales event. This was strictly 100% a coming together, sharing information thing. So nothing was promoted or sold. Again, not that there's anything wrong with doing that. We believe in salesmanship or salespersonship, but that's not what this particular one was about. So stateofthemortgageindustry.com. Hey brother, I appreciate you. I know you're in Washington, D.C. You got some big meetings today. And I love you. I
Yeah.
love what you
National
do.
Advocacy Conference next week. Mortgage industry coming together.
My
Can't
man.
wait.
My man. Yeah. So all right, I think that's it. I appreciate you, buddy.
All right. Take care.
All right, bye.